Hey there, my name is Pravus. Welcome to more EU for Domination. We are going for the AEIOU achievement as Austria. And at the end of the last video, not only do we finally purge all of the Protestant and Reformed heresy out of the HRE, but we gotta click the big button, revoke the privilegia, and in one fell swoop, I conquered almost the entirety of mainland Europe. So we are 117 years into the game, and this is what I call a pretty darn strong power curve. Now we need to use a massive vassal swarm and start conquering the world. So let's take a second to kind of reassess the grand strategy. Now that I've gotten to this point, and I feel like we got to this point pretty quickly, 117 years for this much power, not bad by any stretch. But now what do we want to do? Well, a couple things. If we're going to go for one faith, the achievement where I get to convert the entirety of the world to Catholicism, I want to stomp down Great Britain early if possible, prevent them from colonizing too much with the wrong faith, because that would become very, very annoying to deal with. I also want to take down Sweden because they still have that center of Reformation and they're only Protestants left in the world. I feel like we have a job to actually stomp them down. And then, of course, push east, go through Muscovy, go through the Ottomans. Actually, the goal then has to become to push all the way down to India, control the major trade from the Spice Islands in India, send that all up to the Venice trade node. And then I have a massive war engine that I can use between my vassals and just a huge amount of money. We can easily conquer the entire world. I still am holding out hope, by the way, that we're going to be able to get a personal union with Portugal eventually. Comes down to waiting for the right moment when they don't have an heir, and then I can just say, hey, I've got favors, can you put a Habsburg on the throne? And once they've done that, break the alliance, keep the royal marriage though, wait for an opportunity, and kill them. Just like we did with Castile. That'll be no problem whatsoever. In the meantime, we have a lot of holdouts who left the HRE that we now need to punish. Right, I'm talking people like Holland, the Palatinate, Saxony, Magdeburg. These guys all left. Genoa, Saluzzo, yeah. We need to take them all down. And the good news is, if you leave the HRE when I revoke the privilegia, I get claims on all your territory. Fun fact though, even though I am now able to expand the empire, I am not, weirdly enough, gonna turn them into vassals if I do that. So I can't think of any reason to really use the Expand Empire CB anymore. It just means I won't be able to kill them. So for example, if I expand the empire with the Pope, they become part of the HRE. Fighting in the HRE is now disabled, right? I think, right? Hang on. That actually may not be true. Not until we get to Ewiger Landfriede, or however you say this, disallow internal HRE wars. So maybe we could go to war temporarily, but there will come a point where they're not vassals. So what's the point? Why not just go ahead and eat their land while I have claims on it? That's the thought. Rome is the only one that I can't easily do that to, because then you make all the Catholics angry and blah, 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 blah. By the way, looking at all of these subjects, let's go ahead and tell them for now to all go into siege mode. But one thing I'll do is take the strongest amongst you and say you're allowed to go and hunt down enemies and try to kill them all, all right? I want you to kill them all so that I don't have to be everywhere at once. And the weakest among you, rather than let you go get killed, I'll tell all of you guys to just be supportive and stick by the big boys. I also should now be able to convert my vassal territory like en masse, no problem at all. All you guys who had like Protestants and Reformed that you couldn't quite get rid of, never fear, the Emperor is here. Anyway, with the vassal swarm, it's not like I have to like sit around and do anything. We could just let our vassals fight everything for us. I'm gonna go ahead and do some conquest wars on, let's say, Genoa and stuff. I need diplomats, hang on, sorry, we have a lot of diplomats. Boom, boom, bada, bada, boom. Da-da-da-da-da, lots going on, all right. I have a lot of troops. With all my vassals, I've got something like 700,000 men. And 1562? We call that really good. All right, vassals, go kill Genoa and their buddies for me, and Saluzzo, we'll just eat them all, that'll be fine. Costly embargo against the Ottomans. Yeah, no one's allowed to be rivals to me anymore. If we take a look at the Great Powers thing, I've kind of left everyone in the freaking dust. All right, they're all gone. Like, who cares? Now, vassal swarms aren't perfect. The AI does not coordinate nearly as well as the player does. So it's totally possible that I'm going to still struggle against big people with good ideas, like the Ottomans. But in theory, from sheer numbers, eventually I will win any engagement. Now, Brittany, interestingly enough, would actually like to become my vassal. I got no objection with that. It would take up a relationship slot, but it's not like they're a big nation. We can just annex them later if I want to. Weird thing, by the way. So HRE vassals, right, the people who are members of the HRE who then become your vassal, they don't take up any relationship slots. Otherwise, I'd never have Diplo power again. Weirdly, though, people who were not normal HRE vassals, but actually my direct vassals like Bulgaria and Byzantium, they get shuffled in amongst all of that and don't take up any relationship slots either. But if I vassalize Brittany after having clicked the button, then they will take up a relationship slot. Kind of weird, right? Now, one problem with having the vassal swarm is the game is going to slow down a lot here. France just became the papal controller, really, of all people? Alright, fine. There's so much going on right now when you have this many units. Yeah, the game's going to slow down a lot. While the vassals go and deal with all the little trash nations that left me, though, I'm going to focus my effort on taking down people like Sweden. And this would be a good opportunity to fight against Britain at the same time. So we're going to try for that. And if I can peacefully get someone like, let's say, Man to vassalize, that could be a good landing point to fight against them in the future. But worst come to worst, if I can get enough of a navy, which admittedly, despite how many vassals we have, this is not a very strong navy. The British could actually beat me on this. But if we can get a navy together, I'd love to get a landing point. One territory on the British Isles proper, just one, is all I would need to systematically dismantle them for the rest of the game. Troops are in position. Can we just go ahead and do this against Sweden now? The answer is probably. Can I get a good admiral real quick? 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's a von Habsburg. It's a member of my own family. I mean, you know, yeah, it's all right. I would love for all of my little vassal buddies to stack up on me if possible. All right, we're gonna try to get in here and actually obliterate the British long enough to get some troops over here. I'll be honest, I don't have a very good feeling that this is gonna work, but it's certainly worth a shot. Novgorod doesn't have any reconquest? No cores? Really? Huh. They must have had to revoke all of those. That's unfortunate, but okay. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if I can actually land some troops here in Norfolk. If I can, cool. If not, well, that's unfortunate. Please tell me you can land. I don't care if we do anything else beyond that. Just land and then run. Land and run. It takes a long time to actually try landing your troops. Where's your navy, Britain? Where's your navy? Where's your navy? Poor quality copper. That sucks. Hey, we landed. Okay, that's all I need. Now, once we have a landing point, that's it. I can just ferry as many troops over as I need to. No problem whatsoever. Looks like we can go for our next government reform. Okay. I don't want a parliament. I don't want the Estates General, I don't think. I mean, they're like, okay, but that's not what I want. Aristocratic court for the Diplo rep wouldn't be the worst thing. But I don't feel like I need this at this point. We're pretty good at this already. Let's go for the Royal Decree. This is going to increase my yearly absolutism. It's not useful right now. We're kind of investing in the long term, but I think that's still going to be worthwhile. It's absolutely crazy to me that we were able to get the Privilegia done within the first 120 years of the game. I think that's really, really impressive to me. Mainly because, like, we never were going to get the whole League War thing afire, right? We were too quick on stomping on these guys. We got rid of that issue really early on. And then I was going to have to wait until 1650 to get the peace that I needed in order to actually continue getting, like, the Papal State achievements, the Most Holy Roman Empire, or whatever it's called. Yeah, that was just, like, that was going to be too much of an effort. Way too much of an effort. So I'm glad I decided to skip that achievement. I can always get that one later. And the result is I was able to get the Privilegia and the Vassal Swarm almost 100 years earlier. That's so worth it to me. Now, one thing I have to be very cautious about, because this is so easy to mess up. Overextension. I could very easily accidentally get myself way too much overextension as I continue conquering land, and all of a sudden we're in huge trouble. Like, for example, if I were to take all of this away from Genoa, I'd be over my 100%. Unless I want to hand some of this off to other people, which I could do. Like, for example, I could just take this territory and hand it off to Sardinia. Of course, finding Sardinia in this list of people, that's a little bit harder. All right, so Stockholm at this point looks to be fully occupied. Well, just about anyway. Britain is most of the way down, so let's think about what we want to do here. I think what I'm going to do is take at least some land with which I can release Denmark for reconquest wars. I'll do the same thing with Norway, probably. So we'll go ahead and create our own personal vassals and just eat the rest of Scandinavia that way. And then I could have Sweden release, let's say, Finland. You remember, Finland should have a fair number of cores here as well, right? I love that they added in this feature. You can actually sort of see a very faint purple outline. That's so helpful. It really is just amazing. This I'm going to give back to Novgorod. I feel like this should always have been theirs. So let's take a look here at, well, first off, what's my overextension look like? Yeah, taking land for myself is going to be a little bit tricky. I don't need to do much, though. Let's think about Britain and what I want to do. If I were to release, let's say, a small vassal like Cornwall, that would do the same thing without costing me anything. I don't think there are going to be any other cores up here. I guess Northumberland does exist, so that could be a thing. And then there's going to be Scotland proper, and then, of course, there's all the Irish minors. So what if I took some territory to release vassals up over here? I mean, I may be going overboard here, actually. I've got 4 relationship slots left. I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's too many. So I think probably skip Northumberland, take Cornwall, just so I can annex them later very quickly. And then the rest, I guess I can't really take much for myself. I think this is all I can do. That does kind of suck. But it's okay, not a huge deal. I do want to, before anything else happens, declare war on Holland before the Brits can get involved. And we'll hold on to this war for a little bit since we don't have a call for peace right now. Take all this land, make sure that we control that English Channel, at least to some degree or another. Then I can start collecting a heck of a lot of money. So let's actually just do this. I'm only going to release Scotland, it turns out, not Cornwall. As long as we have a landing point here, that's all I care about. This will work. And the thing is, even if they just immediately rejoin the war on the side of Holland, fine. Let's just reset that truce timer. Who even cares? So let's... But the thing is, if I do this, I'm going to be overextended because I have to finish all my wars at the same time. All right, so let's time this all out. We're going to take everything we can here from Holland, although... Hello, you have territory up over here, do you? Not much I can do about these guys at the moment. I think I'll just let them live in exile for the time being, and we'll kill them later. For now, let's get all of this back into the HRE. I'm going to end up releasing Friesland and handing off a lot of this land, don't worry. Then we are going to go to Britain, and we're going to take all of this. I could even take a little bit more. And I guess I will. Is there any, like, alliances I don't want you to have? Not really. I don't care that much if you're allied to Sweden, so go ahead and enjoy that. So we'll release Scotland in a second. And then we're going to go to Sweden, and we are going to take all of this. I think that's probably good enough, but let's have them break off the relationship with Great Britain so it's easier to deal with them in the future. Perfect. All right. So this is good enough. Take all that. And now we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a bunch of vassals. So, we want to release Denmark. Welcome back, my friend. Hope you enjoyed those cores. Hope you haven't forgotten. Norway. Yep. And then Finland. Yes. And then Scotland. And then I don't really need Friesland as a vassal. So can I... The thing is, if I add them to the HRE, they're not going to be my vassal, are they? Maybe I didn't think that part through. Tell you what, I don't think we can bring back Friesland, because then they're not going to be my vassal. They'll just be members of the HRE. Protected, but not what I'm looking for. Let's instead go find, let's say, East Frisia. And we'll give them some land, and the rest can go to Utrecht. There, okay. So you get all of that. And then, Calais I'm taking. Stockholm I wanted to keep for myself, if possible, but I'm questioning that. And then Åland, I don't really care. I could give that away. What I really want... Oh, it's actually perfect. 99.9%. Okay, can't complain. The reason I wanted to do this is because Stockholm should have religious zeal over, which means if I want to, we could... It'll take 17 months. But I can actually focus on getting rid of the Center of Reformation. And then we don't have to worry about any more Protestantism working its way around. And then in my next war against Sweden, we're going to be able to take a lot of territory away from them, so they are going to get very weak. And then if I want to annex these guys later, I can. Scotland, of course, has a few more claims of their own, and by a few, they only have one left, Aberdeen, that's it? What the heck happened with you? Whatever, it's technically still a pocket CB, so I guess who really cares? And I have so much aggressive expansion, Man and Brittany no longer want to be my vassals. That's fine. I decided to use up all my relationship slots on more important stuff. Well, most of them anyway. We've actually got 2 spares. Wait a minute, what? How is Denmark and Finland not a vassal? They are vassals. How did this happen? They're my vassals, but they're not taking up relationships. But Norway is. There's probably a really good reason behind all this, but I don't know what it is. I'm sure someone was going to yell at me in the comments and tell me. Well, fun fact, we actually can go to war against Britain immediately, if we want to. Because Brittany is still allied to them, and Britain would join. Which seems like a really stupid choice on your part. But, sure, let's do that, because what we can do is just reset our truce timer with them entirely. Do we feel like now's a good time to go ahead and fight the Ottomans? Yeah, they're fighting against Persia right now. Lots of conquest war goals. We could, of course, go for the Holy War with the show superiority instead. That's even less aggressive expansion. Let's be honest, though, aggressive expansion, no longer really relevant in this game. It's really not. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Why not? Let's just go to war against the Ottomans, start systematically dismantling them. This is how a lot of this campaign is going to be, by the way, from here on out. Ooh, game, come on, don't go this slow. The game is going to be a lot like this, going forward. Namely that it's going to be slow and stuttery, and it's going to be non-stop warfare. It's almost like I hit the age of absolutism early, where I start going to war non-stop, trying to do like 5 or 6 wars at a time. We're kind of already getting into that exact point. Which, I don't know. Some people find that engaging. For me, it means lots and lots and lots and lots of jump cuts, because I feel like at some point watching the same fights and stuff over and over again gets a little bit less entertaining for people. All right, so Britain, you should be willing to just wipe peace, and that's all we're gonna do. I know that sounds weird, but the result is we have a very short truce timer, so I can properly focus on them in the next war. That's what I'm going for there. In the meantime, Mr. Pope Man, wouldn't mind taking a bit of land for myself and leaving you with only Rome, because that makes it a little bit easier for me in the future, so let's do that. There we go. All right, and then as far as Brittany is concerned, I think, honestly, I might just vassalize you. Screw it, let's do it. Boom. All right, so Brittany is going to be mine after all. Perfect. Now, Ottomans. How you looking there, bud? Oh, God, it's hilarious watching the vassal swarm. Look at them all just go across Iberia into Morocco. They're just swarming across the Straits of Gibraltar. So many angry Germans. So many. So this is going to be a very expensive decision, but I'm happy to go ahead of time on military tech. Mainly because by picking up the next level of forts, I believe the way that still works is it makes the other forts obsolete, so you get a siege advantage going through the rest of it. And to me, that just seems really, really helpful. Makes wars against the Ottomans a lot faster. Now, I do want to be very sparing with some of my Diplo power and my admin power going forward. Might actually swap over to a Diplo focus, knowing that I'm going to chunk through the influence ideas, so let's go ahead and get started on that. And in order to avoid having to spend a lot of my admin power, what I think I will do is just go ahead and hand a lot of this land off. So, Castile and Aragon, for example. I bet you guys would like to have some of Northern Africa. Okay, 80% war score against the Ottomans feels pretty decent. So what am I going to take from them? Well, first off, I don't think it would be a bad idea to take Jerusalem. It also may not be a bad idea to release, let's say, Syria as a nation. They're pretty decent. We could at least get a bit of land and have reconquests against them in the future, so this is small. Then there's, like, let's say, Karaman or something. Yeah, they're pretty good. So take over, let's say, this. And then I know Byzantium has a lot of claims. We can feed them, like, all of this. Then what else do I want to do? Can start trying to push them out over here. And one of my missions does require that we push the Ottomans entirely out of Europe. And this is considered to be the part of Europe they're currently in. So there is something to be said about that. Yeah, let's go ahead and start kicking them out of this area, I think. 92% war score, pretty decent for what we're going to get. But before I do that, let's go ahead and peace out separately with Morocco. I want to take along the entire coast. We'll handle a lot of that stuff off in a bit. Wait a day, and then, yeah, get over here and no longer have enough. Fine, I'll take one less province or something. Honestly, I don't even care about all these, if I'm being completely fair with you. Tell you what, let's do this and take Sinai and cut them off from their lands. It's mean-spirited, but if it works, it works. Okay. So, before we do much else, let's go ahead and release the nation so I don't have to worry about them. So Syria, you get released at Sidon, right over here. And then Karaman. And we're going to use these guys to eat chunks of the Ottomans later, and then we can always annex them at our own leisure. So there's that, and then I need to go through my vassal subjects and stuff and hand off a whole load of land. Okay, and that should reduce how much I need to core by a pretty drastic amount. We just need to get through Gaza and Jaffa and stuff, get those cored, and we'll get the rest. Jerusalem is now back under our control, which is great. It'll take 16 months to convert them to Catholic. Let's go ahead and make that a priority since I'm not going to be able to core them for a little bit anyway. And if we want to get this sucker upgraded, extra missionary strength and yearly papal influence and stuff, all of that would be great. More missionaries by the time we're done with this. Yeah, owning Jerusalem and also Mecca, actually. Very good way of getting myself a lot of extra conversion power. Very helpful for a one faith. We're back up to 100 Imperial Authority, by the way. So at any time, if I want to, I could just click Renovatio Imperii. And whether people like it or not, we would just form the HRE. Not going to do that, though. We could just go ahead and start creating some mercenary companies. I wouldn't mind eventually getting to have the extra tech costs and stuff. Sure, let's go ahead and just work down whatever reforms we can for fun. Let's also plan on murdering Magdeburg, Saxony, and Stettin, and I will co-belligerize. We could do reconquest wars, but I'm just going to go ahead and do regular conquests and just feed them. We're going to cannibalize the crud out of the remaining land and just give it to my vassals. I don't need it. Good to know, by the way, that our truce with Britain is going to expire in only one more year. White trucing is nice, man. 5 years is not a lot of time. So we can just continue beating up people very rapidly when you only have 5-year truce timers. One thing I meant to do earlier that I definitely should do is have every single one of these vassals start diverting trade, if they are able to, in my direction. I think what we're going to end up finding is that we're about to make a lot more money in some of our nodes. Let's just see real quick. So right now we're making, what, 30 ducats or so in Venice. That goes up to 38. There's 98 ducats now in the English Channel. I've got 30% control. Right, let's go ahead and swap away from, how about Alexandria? Move a merchant up that direction, and let's start collecting also here, so pull out of Ragusa. So now I have one merchant in each end node, and I should be able to get a pretty hefty amount of cash. The English Channel, obviously, being the most valuable of the bunch. So let's go ahead and move our trade ships up there. I'm gonna go ahead and take out a loan, by the way. Reason being, I think it's time to just go ahead and embrace the printing press. And that lets me get ahead on my tech, so we can start burning down some corruption, enjoy all that good stuff. Let's move over to the influence ideas. And now, at a rate of 12 Diplo power per month, we're gonna start chunking through a lot of that. If I can start promoting advisors at some point, that would obviously be very good too. For example, maybe swap over to a trade efficiency person and get some promotions, get up to 13, then eventually 14 Diplo power. And we should be able to get through a lot of this pretty darn quick. Yeah, that's gonna work. And now we have trading in grain, wine, wool, cloth, salt, naval supplies, copper, iron, and livestock and paper. Cool, thank you. How'd that happen exactly? I don't know, but we've got access to all the trade goods now, all the trade goods. Well, all the vassals are on their way back from war. Now, this is one major downside to the whole vassal swarm. The further away from Germany we get, the more annoying this is going to become at some point, right? It's going to be this nasty, stupid thing where our vassals go all the way out here, barely get a chance to fight by the time I'm done, run all the way back, and so on and so forth. They're going to ping-pong around. So the vassal swarm, it's not a perfect system, not by any stretch. This is where having more localized vassals would be better. Still, when they do arrive, they're gonna be really good. And right now, all I'm doing is murdering the people who dared to leave me, right? They broke my heart, Stettin, Brandenburg, and Magdeburg. Can't allow that. But then, I'm just gonna unleash the ravenous wolves on France. And honestly, why not just do this now? I can't think of a reason. Go forth, my children, go forth. Kill the French, eat them, they're delicious. Oh, but the game actually literally does stutter step every time I try that. Wow, that is painful. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make, though, is what's going to end up happening is I think I'm going to leave behind Europe, and I'm going to start moving my troops into positions to become expeditionary forces in Muscovy, the Ottomans working their way east. I'll let the vassal swarm deal with Sweden and anyone else in this area. I might have to help with Great Britain, but I'll let them deal with the rest of this and just turn that into a set-it-and-forget-it war. Same with Northern Africa itself, actually. But I'll be in position to start pushing off to the east. I think that's the right way to go. How much money am I making? Oh my gosh, I'm making 132 ducats a month now. Yeah, amazing what happens when you suddenly get control of a lot of the trade in the game, huh? Okay, we're done with these folks. Let's go ahead and eat the rest of Stettin. I'll hand that all off in a second. And let's go to Saxony. How much of you can I eat? Can I eat all of you? The answer is yes. Goodbye. And what about Magdeburg? Can I eat all of you? The answer is yes, I can. All right, say goodbye to all of them. So they've been dealt with. That leaves France and team. By the way, mission fulfilled up over this direction. What was it? The deal with Brandenburg. Hey, get a whole bunch of free Diplo power. Nice, and a 75% cheaper military advisor. Heck yeah, that's awesome. Let's get the income from vassals. That should go up tremendously, and let's definitely go ahead and swap out. Well, I would get the better advisor. Yes, I can. Wait, no, where are you? Where are you? This one? This one. 3.84 ducats. That's really good. And as for you, France, let's take away... Let's clear up some border gore first and foremost. We could do something kind of like this. I mean, I would like to take away things like Paris, but I don't see that happening right now. I guess we could, though. Yeah, let's do this. We'll take away Paris and leave them with only this. That's going to make them very sad. One thing we need to keep in mind that can be a little bit weird, by the way. As we are taking lands, it will make sense to create a handful of relatively strong vassals, especially on the west, with naval access, which is why I gave a lot of land to Gascony, for example, and none over to these guys. I'm probably going to turn them into a relatively strong vassal. Same thing with Orléans, same thing with Champagne over here. The reason for this is, once they have global access with their navy, right, they'll eventually have the coring range to start taking over, let's say, pieces of Africa or pieces of China, right? And that way I can continue force-feeding my vassals rather than taking all of the land myself. We learned this a long time ago when I did a Moravia campaign. Now that was a fun campaign. Now, one really obvious problem I'm running into right now is, as I take all this territory from people who are not the primary war goal, guess how much Diplo power I lose? The answer is a lot. All right, maybe I shouldn't have done some of the stuff I've been doing. If I'm not actively co-belligerizing people, I should just not take land. That's a lesson learned there, because I kind of forgot that that's how it worked for a second. It's obvious, but it's one of those things that just sort of slipped my mind. Shouldn't have taken some land from, let's say, Genoa and stuff. That was unnecessary. If we co-belligerize them, that's not that big of an issue. But against, let's say, all these guys over here, yeah, we lost a lot. So let's pay attention to that going forward, because, I mean, I just want to make sure I don't waste all of my power. We'll be fine. We'll get out of this hole relatively quickly, but that obviously slows down my influence ideas at least a bit. My vassals, by the way, are contributing a full 100 ducats per month to my coffers, not to mention all the trade and production that they are actively sending my way. Yeah, obviously that's all really good. And I think this might be a good place for us to end this video. So we've basically fought everybody around us who could be a threat. Ottoman's been weakened a little bit. Sweden's been weakened. We are now primed to take a massive amount of land from them. Great Britain, we have a landing with Scotland. We can take a bit more land and feed them. That's all going to be good. We can push into Morocco. Only person I didn't fight, honestly, was Muscovy. And we're ready to do that at a moment's notice. So, yeah, we're poised. We are poised for some pretty serious power spikes here. How's Castile doing as far as colonizing, by the way? They're taking the Caribbean. Okay, good. And Portugal's working on South America. So we need to figure out a way of getting some folks into North America over here. I don't know if that means, like, just taking Holland as a vassal and then feeding them. I don't know. Or we need to start taking some colonial nations ourselves and then just start subsidizing the ever-loving frick out of them until they colonize it all for us. One way or another, though, we'll figure that out. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I'd ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.